Hey everyone, this is the Chronowalkers. I'm Eric L. here with Shehanigans. We are bringing you a new champion primer for Manot, the Ice Mage, one of the new champions from the Origin set for Genesis Battle of Champions. So Shehanigans, why don't you take us through Manot?
Awesome. Yeah, let's go right in. So we've got 24 health, 130 aura, and 0 energy. We've got a far forward awareness, which is a pretty sweet awareness to have. We were very hyped with
That's
it
pretty
for all
good.
time. We're going to be hyped again. We're in Jalara, Bellum, and Axon colors, which I think we should be all very familiar with those colors.
Do I smell angels?
Yes, angels. And just competitive players are going to be very familiar with these colors showing up. And then, yeah, let's look at those two abilities. So to take advantage of that awesome awareness, we've got a swift cast ability. So you deal 2 water damage to a target in your awareness. And our second ability is an action speed ice wall, 5 aura or 4 energy. Target spot in the arena is considered occupied this round. So, Eric, yeah, what are you thinking? Like, we've got awesome aura, we've got a big chunk of health, and we got a sick awareness. Where do you think this leads Manot?
Yeah, I mean, I think Manot's gonna fall pretty easily into this mage category, possibly with a far awareness summoner kind of hybrid aspect that we'll get into why we think that later on. Having the ability to have that far forward awareness is really good, especially the ability to damage. Like that's like a good amount of damage. You're doing like almost fighter levels of damage as this on your your base ability.
Yeah, while getting to stay just that one space away and stay a bit safer. Like it's sweet. It's
Yeah,
great.
exactly. So that's really cool. But like, how are we going to use this ice wall? Like, what does that kind of imply?
Yeah, so this is kind of a tricky, really interesting one because this is a tempo play, right? This is you have to give up something as a start, right? Where we have to be doing this at action speed. So we've diverted ourselves into the slower turn, one movement, then we go to a main phase, and then we get to do an action speed, make a spot in the arena considered occupied. So this basically means if someone tries to move, not place, but specifically tries to move, then they cannot go into that location because you've blocked it off with Manot. Unfortunately, have to acknowledge, if you're going second with Manot, that Ice Wall's going to lose a lot of utility, especially against other players who are playing summons that don't care about having lots of turns. So like the fighters or just the pure damage mages, they don't care about bringing out other summons. So then that ice wall is going to be just, if you're second, there's not too much you can do with it because by the time you get to do a turn, they've already moved for a turn. It's not going to be useless by any means. It loses a lot of utility, and we have to acknowledge that. But I mean, enough with being a downer. Let's get into what's great about her. Like, how can we use the best parts of her?
Yeah, I mean, we can take a look at her health and aura pool. Like those are some pretty good numbers comparable to someone like Idris, right?
Yeah, just looking at those stats and staying in the same colors, Raha, who has 1 energy and also a sweet awareness, but Raha's only getting away with 95 aura, so 35 less, and 2 less health. So Manot is like got some solid stats for not having that 1 energy. Like the trade-off is there.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying she's just a better Raha then?
I don't think I go that far, but I definitely feel safer. Like health and aura gives you a bit more of a safety valve than energy does. I think as those numbers go up, you're kind of getting more defensive, and it's safer to be defensive. Whereas as energy goes up, it's like, oh yeah, dive, get in there, punch, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a degree of more flexibility, I think, and yeah, just safety, survivability, getting time to understand what the opponent is doing, that leaning into the aura and health pools does for a champion.
And what else can lead to longer games is her range and ice wall placement. Like having proper ice wall placement can block off your opponents from getting to you, and then your range attack can help you safely deal with opponent summons, because 2 damage is nothing to scoff at, especially from that range. So this can help you buy some extra time to get the cards that you need, especially the good ones, right? Basically just improve your card quality, plan your actual card plays carefully, and then because you're placing those ice walls, you're blocking off your opponents from doing anything, you can also play a lot of ranged summons. And this is going to help you, fire over your ice walls.
To be clear, when we talk about range, we don't mean the range damage type, But we do mean as we said at the beginning, that being a far awareness summoner. We're looking at the summons that are able to hit from far away. The marquee one from Thymos is Giant Scorpion, but we got a lot of new toys in Origins we'll get to talk about later that let us do that in these colors.
You've got Gianter Scorpion.
Yeah, we have a bigger Scorpion. But yeah, like, so that's what we mean when we say range summons, is like, if we're going to be putting ice walls and forcing the opponent to, like, they can't just stay far away from our ice wall, because then we just keep on doing the ice wall play. They have to be close enough that they can try and sneak by an ice wall. So that means they're going to be right up against them, which means if we have stuff that can fire over them, bam, that's like, we're actually getting a little tactical game plan here. Our kill box, you might say.
So you're basically forcing your opponent to try to come at you, but you get to control the field, right? So it's not going to be on your own terms, or, you know, preferably they don't attack you at all, you know. Hence the ice walls. That would be the best way to do it. Like, how are you going to play with Manot? Like, what's it going to be like playing with Manot, especially, you know, starting out?
Oh, I think this is, I mean, fortunately, unfortunately, because you can see this as a challenge, or maybe it, you know, feels a little bit tough at the start. But yeah, don't get disheartened, because Manot's going to take a little time to learn. Like, that ice wall is really kind of changing the tactical play, the movement, like what we love about Genesis, right? Moving all those pieces around. This is really changing that in a way we haven't seen before. And it's going to take time to figure out when it's important and when it's not. Like, I fully expect in my first games to Manot to trip myself up, but like occupying something, and then like one of my sons like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Then I could have that would have changed. And, you know, so that kind of a thing. Like, there's going to be a learning curve.
Yeah, or vice versa. Realize, you know, oh, I should have placed that ice wall there and I forgot to, or I didn't realize it, or just like running yourself out of resources because you've been ice walling all the time. And like being able to properly ice wall is going to be a huge skill ceiling. It's going to make the difference between like beginning Manot players and expert Manot players like really vast compared to something else. Like, we look at other champions in the same affiliations like Nubia and Khan. They're no insulting to, you know, anyone that plays them, but yeah, they're incredibly straightforward, right? Like, Nubia has that high aura pool, draws more cards than anyone else, so you just have like more opportunities to do stuff.
Khan just uses flight and
Khan is just
high movement to just keep on getting to your back and then hitting you and stabbing you in the back.
Yeah, and we do also have to unfortunately point out that Kun makes Ice Wall completely useless.
Yes, don't put down too many Ice Walls against Kun. Not the best against Kun. I mean, I guess before we lead off, I would like to note that we're going to be leaning into this range, this far awareness summoner style of Manot, but I think there might be, because of like the strength of this swift cast ability and that awareness, there might be like a far fighter version of Manot where you use that aura pool and that health pool and that extended awareness to keep on hitting people as if you're a fighter, but you're doing it with just from further away. Like, you could just constantly be moving back, maybe once or even twice, and then still hitting people with literally every card that's in your deck. So there might be another version of Manot that could be pretty strong, that doesn't lean into the Ice Wall ability at all. You just ignore it.
Yeah, instead of putting an ice wall between your opponents, you put the ice wall behind your opponents so they can't retreat, right? Like, you basically you basically start putting your ice walls down in preparation for their Odins and other things like that, and then you hit them with your abilities. Yeah. As we said before, we're going to kind of focus on this kind of mage/summoner build, so let's kind of see... Well, let's see some cards. Alright, first we're going to start off with these three cards, Gust, Slippery, and Blowaway. They all kind of do the same thing. Gust is, you know, an old staple. Slippery and Blowaway are, you know, new additions in Origins. But they're all defensive abilities, right? We want to kind of control the board, and these kind of just help you do that at a lower chi.
Yeah, I mean, Gust is kind of, it's the same idea as why we suggested knockback in... to sheer, right? Like, we have that further awareness, so let's keep on pushing people away where we can still hit them. Like, gusting someone who's run up to your face to hit you, and then pushing them back, and then you can still, even without using any movement, be in a position to hit them. Like, that's sweet. Slippery is interesting. Slippery is actually taking advantage of the water aspect of Manot's cast ability, because it does deal water, where it lets you have a kind of a defensive play that forces the opponent to rotate, because we have satisfied the requirement to get that modify trigger that forces someone to rotate if they're in Slippery's awareness.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting too, because it can help you against something like a bolt shot, right? That Gust can't. You know, hit them with your attack, slippery them away, and then they rotate. Now they're not hitting you with, bolt shots or anything like that.
Yes. It's surprising how much losing your ability to rotate. I'm thinking back to our video on SN, how their stun forces or takes away your movement and your rotation. Losing the rotation feels like the bigger deal to me personally than the movement, because rotation lets you like feel safer, get your awareness and the cards in your hand facing where you need them to face. So the fact that slippery, gives you a swift way to rotate people.
And blow is just here because
not
that's kind of the same
all.
thing. So if you compare it to gust, it's basically gust, but with, I think there's just one more, far awareness place you can hit them, and it doesn't do any damage, but it costs a lot less aura. So, it's something to think about. We'll see.
Yeah, likely Manot probably doesn't care too much about the aura, but who knows?
But so now those are 3 defensive cards, but now looking at some of our more offensive summons, we have a Hayam, which is part of the brand cycle. And this one, it's got the range attacks that we keep talking about, and of course, we mean that both ways. And it's just a nice, good 6 chi, decent damage summon that can hit your opponents over the ice walls that you're going to create. And there's going to be a decent amount of air damage in Bellum that you can do. So that could be a minor synergy.
Absolutely. And like while we're talking about the brand cycle and we're talking about these summons that let's hit at range, that leads us straight into our next one, which is the biggest giant scorpion that ever giant scorpion, except wait, it's not a scorpion, it's a crocodile porcupine, and it's 8 chi Firing Krog. So Firing Krog knows what they want to do, and they do it really, really well. We've got the 5 health to survive a lot of the damage abilities. It's going to take multiple attacks to kill this thing. We've got the Giant Scorpion Awareness, which everyone is familiar with how strong that is and how much of a board it pressures. And we've got 5 attack damage at swift speed, and a Water Brand, which is going to synergize with Midnot's own cast ability.
Yes, and of course the tsunamis that you're definitely going to be running.
Yes. Yeah. No, Firing Krog into Tsunami is 9 damage in 1 turn. Oh man.
And clear your whole board.
Yeah, and I guess one more thing is, not that we needed it because our aura is so great, but 18 aura, all that package, you're paying far more for in chi than you are in aura. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, so these are 2 of the brand cycle that we think are really strong, but these are kind of higher chi. So looking at some lower chi cards, we have Tower Sphinx. This one is a card that we've mentioned before in our good cards deck building video, but we figured it's a great card to mention here because Hayam helps with this card because it deals air damage, and it's a pretty cheap range attacker.
Yeah, and I'll note that if you can get the positioning right, Ice Wall in a spot you don't even care about is a decent way to get a stack started to get that modify stack 3 off Tower Sphinx up and running. Like you just need one other ability, which I'm sure you're going to be having stuff Manot's Hand, Called Shots, whoever, like all the check our general primer of constructed staples.
I mean, you can even just do Ice Wall into attack with Manot into
Tower Sphinx.
Tower Sphinx
absolutely
attack. Easy. And then of course moving on to our next card, we have little Paneradon.
Hey, it's my boy.
Is designed by 50% of the people here.
That's true. That is actually true.
But this is another ranged summon. It is relatively cheap in aura. It is at 6 chi, but because Manot can lead to those longer games, having strong cards at lower aura can allow you to play more cards as you go along, and this can really shut down your opponent's cards and summons. While also, providing you, and with your Ice Wall, you can keep it alive for longer and really just pester your opponent.
Yeah, like it's that far forward awareness, and then, Paneradon's going to shine against the mid-range style of summoner deck, where it's like, I've got this one threat, and I'm going to force you to deal with it. Paneradon is a very, very cheap on aura method to, just kind of lock down something 2 or 3 rarities higher than it, put it that way.
Yeah. And then kind of moving on to some more battlefield control cards, we can look at Zenith Pulse. This is an interesting one. It's the 6 chi trap. It says you have to place it on an occupied spot. Well, your ice walls make that spot occupied. So the combination of synergy with Manot means that you can basically occupy any spot and then place your Zenith Pulse wherever you want. and so it really gives you that flexibility to use it.
Yes.
I know I've used Zenith Pulse when literally the only place I can put it is just on one of my opponent's summons, and you're just hitting that for 2 damage. It's not that great. 2 damage anywhere on the board for 12 aura, but being able to hit the exact spot you want, get the most value, it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, this will require a little bit of setup, which is going to be during the last turn of the round. This is where using the occupancy tokens, which ACG is providing with this set, is going to be key to make sure you know where these things are. If you're used to summons fighting summons, the kind of L shape almost, like, so you have another summon in one spot and you have another summon one row behind, either to the left or the right, protecting its side, right? That's a very familiar tactical layout to have 2 summons in, so that the summons are protecting and preventing a side attack to the one that's in the more exposed position. Zenith Pulse is perfectly designed, if you have a way to put it down on a spot you want, to grab 2 summons and put them both and hit them at once. Getting 4 damage done across a champion and a summon, or across 2 summons, is a really great starting point for Zenith Pulse. If that's the end of your first turn with Zenith Pulse, we're on a good track.
Yeah, definitely. And that's a great point about that, being able to hit that in between of all those summons or enemies, right? Because if a normal champion would only be able to put it on just one of those summons, and if they're at that angle, then Zenith Pulse would just hit one. And another tactical play synergy with Manot is Dense Fog. So this is another one. We've seen it before with Kun, because Kun can just kind of fly over wherever. Again, kind of defeats the point of Manot, but this allows Manot to control or know exactly where to put her ice walls, right? Because you know exactly where they can move, and you only have to put your ice wall down in that one spot, maybe 2 spots, right? And this can really help you control the board.
Yeah, no, Manot with Dense Fog is like, it's kind of silly how much control over where everything is going to be next turn Manot has with a Dense Fog. If you've never played against Dense Fog, it's not the most fun. So hopefully we're not ruining people's lives by mentioning that these cards kind of synergize together. But hey, I mean, we just tell you how the cards work. If you put them in a deck in real lives, that's on you. That's not us.
Yeah, and so these are some good cards with this kind of control mage / summoner style. But we also mentioned this bar fighter style, and we have some interesting cards to look at here. We have Psychic Blast, so this is one of the new cards in the set. So this is a 6-chi 4 damage attack from far forward. You do have to discard a card in its cost, so it's not completely free, but 4 damage at 6-chi is pretty good, especially with it at decent range. And of course, you're obviously going to have bolt shots with it, so that's a lot of 4 damage cards that you can be running. And this is why we were thinking about that far fighter style, because with your long range base attack and with these cards, you can really get some good damage going.
Yeah, like Psychic Blast, like the fatigue is almost flavor text. Like there's certainly going to be games where it matters. If you're playing against Nubia, like every fatigue card feels a lot stronger, right? But no, it's absolutely the discard on Psychic Blast is paying for the fact that 4 damage at 6-chi, which is very, very hard to get on anything that isn't a summon.
Yeah, especially at that range.
Even on summons. Yeah.
And then, of course, we will mention Windslash, which is a nice 4-chi card. Probably should just be running it in most Manot decks in general, especially with a high M. But in this type of fighter style, it would also be a good way to kind of balance out the Psychic Blast that you will probably be running.
That brings us to the end of our Manot primer. If you've got any cards you think we missed, please let us know in the comments below. Or if you've got like other ideas for this far fighter style of Manot,
or just any deck ideas in general, please share the links, Coliseum of Fate deck links. We want to see some of these.
Yeah, and maybe we'll feature one in a video. Who knows? Because we're getting to the end of the primers, which means we're gonna have to find something new to do. Eric, oh no.
Oh, I'm sure we'll have plenty to do.
Yeah. Oh, we get to play games again.
Oh man,
whoa. What's that like? Playing Genesis. Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah. Yeah. What?
Yeah. Thanks for coming out, and throw us a like, share, and a subscribe.
Yeah.
Please.
And comment too. We'll see you in the next one.
Peace.